Welcome to episode 45. It is I, the Cute Dog, and thank you for coming back for part 2 of Autism, Marriage, and Abandonment. My gosh, I let it all out on episode 1, but let me tell you, you ain't seen nothing yet. And I'm sure those of you that have got struggles in life or deep, dark places of pain can certainly relate to me and what I'm going through. And my hope is that you'll take my journey and share it with those people who really need someone that they can relate to and connect with, so that we can make the journey just a little bit better, hopefully a little bit easier. And I just appreciate you listening. Remember, I'm bearing it all here, so please treat it with care. Much love, Man vs. Marriage Nation. The Cute Diggity Dog is out.
The podcast.
How good do you want your life to be?
It's truly about becoming the best version of yourself that's possible.
This is Man vs. Marriage.
The podcast.
And I think you look at the outcome, and you're looking at the outcome of it is there's a place in you that is best to avoid any more hurt, rejection, any more of those feelings that you don't want to have to feel of, if I put things out there, people are going to leave. So instead of putting things out there, it's easy just to retreat and just not share it, because you know, based on the history, based on the past, based on the way people have responded, the outcome is always they will leave. So in your eyes and in how you see it, having kids, having more kids, some more kids and some more kids is burdensome. And you're not going to put the burden on people because you've lost so many people in that journey of life that you and Jeannie have, embarked on. So ultimately it's kind of like, at the end of the day, this is what you're trying to avoid. I'm not saying anything like I totally understand, because I've heard a lot of what you're saying. Because of course we're come from I hear what family says, and after a while it's just kind of like, no, actually one of their daughters is, she has autism. And there's not a lot of understanding or compassion when it comes to that. And sometimes I think you have to rule those people out, because you're trying to get them to understand something that they're not going to grasp. And instead of causing heartache towards yourself, you run it. I'm not even in it. And I see it, and I've witnessed it. And for the lack of a better words, it's a lot of ignorance on their part. Instead of educating themselves, instead of trying to understand this thing called autism. I don't understand it all. However, I know Kiki, she is a human being. She is this bright child that I see all the time. Like, how can you reject that? So what if she doesn't do what you think she should do as a child? She can't. So why can't you just accept her as she is? Bill and I get Bill and I, we just get a kick out of her, because her timing is impeccable when she says things and does things.
Yeah. It's weird.
It is
It's
weird, and you just embrace it. And you come to find out in life that there's just a lot of times people just can't embrace other people's life, chaos, whatever you want to call it. They're incapable of embracing someone else's normal because it's not their normal.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are ignorant when it comes to autism because they really do believe it's a behavioral issue, and that's all that it is. And it's the lack of the parents and thereof, and, you're trying your whole, everything within you to try to give them understanding. And sometimes they're just not going to get it.
Yeah.
And you're just spinning your wheels trying to get them to get it of an acceptance. Because really, that's all that you're wanting. It's just that acceptance. This is my family. Right, wrong, or indifferent, this is my family. And why can't you just embrace that for what it is? It sucks, but, some people just can't. It doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it wrong, and it doesn't make it easy. But yeah, I can totally see the burden that you carry, the burden that you walk around with. And that's not an easy thing to carry. So how is it that we work through it to release it, that it's not this burden? How do we change that story of how people responded to you has dictated to you how it is that you're going to live a life of being a burden? How do we flip that?
I mean, to me, I think we've already kind of started that process. With me starting to be more open and share, some of the things that I'm going through with people. It's kind of baby steps.
Yeah.
And as much as I want to have the personality, or the mindset, it's ride or die. You're either with me or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how successful that mindset is going to be, because you can hurt a lot of people in your wake,
Right.
So I don't know where to go with that. I just don't really have anybody left to run off.
Right.
I don't. And maybe that's the weird transition that I've kind of gone through. I mean, before all of this, it was hard for me to stay at home because I was very, the social butterfly,
Yeah. Yeah.
always out, always wanting to go everywhere and spend a lot of time, with people and barbecue and, parties and things of that nature. And now that's completely flipped to where I'd rather just, be at home with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do really enjoy their time and their company.
Right.
Got to spend time with other adults, I guess, at some point. But I spend all day with adults at work. And those adults still have the same problems that my kids have, now. And so do I. But I don't know what it looks like to fix or to change that. I know I'm willing to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of going back on what we always say and what we always talk about is, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to create now going forward? You're recognizing it, and you're you're moving in that way to be more open about, your situation and the difficulties of it, and being vulnerable about it. That's a huge step, because I know you and Jeannie are both very, very protective in that area, extremely protective when it comes to your kids and who you're going to have around your kids because of this. But recognizing it and seeing it, and making the decision to say, from this point forward, what is it that I want to create? How is it that I'm going to go about to create something different, to start changing the real of your kids are a burden? Because that's what it's boiling down to, is you're repeating, it's your kids, it's your kids, it's your kids. So whoever wants to have that mindset that their kids are the burden? What parent wants to walk around having that always on their mind, always wondering, worrying, accommodating, over accommodating, making apologies, reasons? Who wants to do that? That's very tiresome. That's very weighty. Just you talking about it, the weight of it, you could feel the weight. The weight is the burden of it. I mean, your kids are, getting into the best years of their lives. I don't care what anybody says. They are getting into the best years of their lives. How can we make this grand for them? That they don't, because if you're feeling the burden of it, if you're feeling those feelings, what are your kids feeling? What are they going through?
Yeah.
Where are their emotions on all of this? I don't expect you to have all the answers, but I think it's a great conversation to have, because how many other people out there have children with special needs, have large families? How do you maneuver through life having a large family? Just families with special needs, because it's just autism isn't rare anymore like it used to be.
Right.
I remember me having my kids when I did 20, 30 years ago. That wasn't really a popular per se diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been misdiagnosed with other things that that they would say. What would you say in the last?
I'd probably say in the last 15 years.
15 years. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, they've really opened up the spectrum, and they go. I think it's like you go from one extreme to another, so you start over-diagnosing.
Right.
People, and then at some point there's a little bit of balance to say this is the spectrum for autism, and this is the spectrum for Asperger's syndrome, and you really don't know. And Jeannie and I have had help and resources and things, and we've been absolutely burned by the help and the resources, and so we kind of shut it all out. And in one of our coaching sessions with you and I, you made a good point to say, why aren't you out getting help? Why aren't you part of a community? Why aren't you getting support? And
because I think things have changed.
Yeah, they have.
I believe that they have, because there's so much awareness out there. more so today than when you guys were dealing with it. What, Kiki's 17, 16?
She'll be 17 December,
17,
so yeah,
and
she's
yeah.
16 going on 17.
So I think, 16 years ago, even 10 years ago, there's just been so much more.
Yeah.
And I think this is such a, not only a heavy subject, a touchy subject, a subject that I am one to say I have absolutely no authority, experience, knowledge to even be a voice in the sense of being a parent of a special needs autistic. I've only been around you guys and seen the kids grow up and seen your struggles and even your victories, because I don't want to deny that.
That's very true.
And it's there. I know there's so many parents out there that struggle with this, and I know that counseling you and Jeannie in the beginning, it's like you guys are beating the odds staying together.
Yeah.
Because we even talked about multiples, and then multiples with special needs, multiples with autistic kids. The divorce rate is skyrocket.
Right.
And you guys are beating the odds, with the multiples, because you have two sets, and then having children, with special needs, you guys are beating those odds. But I know there has to be marriages out there that are strained, stressed,
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, one of our trips, and then that we'll have to cut this episode here pretty quick, but one of our trips that Jeannie and I went to, we went and watched a hockey game and stayed overnight, and then on the way back decided to stop and have a lunch, and we sat off in the corner of this booth, and there was a couple next to us with his or her parents, and they had a child that obviously had autism, and the dad has taken the child outside, and you can just feel the disappointment in the air, and the little guy screaming, and we're there, and we're like, well, it's our people there, and you feel like you want to say something, and it's like, it's like, you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
You just want to give them
Something.
lifeline of encouragement,
Mm-hmm.
and the mom and dad are there, and they're giving their worldly wisdom about how to raise kids or, whatever the case is. But you
Right.
have absolutely zero idea of the depth of loneliness that you can feel when you're working through a child that has special needs or a health issue.
Right.
And like I say, I always look at, other people that are going through things and say, that's much worse off than I have it in this life. And if they can continue on,
Right.
I know I can.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't find somebody to look at to figure out how to move on, then I'll just become that reason
Right.
for my family alone, because we all need somebody to look to say, if, I guess I need somebody to look to
Mm-hmm.
say, things are hard. It's not forever. It's just for right now. Of course, this is going to be our forever.
True. That is a true statement.
Because we're going to have,
3.
most likely
Most.
2, I would say maybe a third, but we're going to have 2 with us the rest of our life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Right.
way it's going to be.
That's your true reality.
That is reality. You can't positive your way out of that,
Mm-mm.
And it's a reminder when you don't have to, I guess, but when your son at 17 still needs you to help him through a shower, He's 18 now. Your son at 18 still needs help with how to properly take a shower. He has an adult's body,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, this is your reality for the rest of your life. If you're not careful, it can send you into depression. Because you have an idea of how your life is supposed to end
Right.
up when all the kids move out and you get to go be newlyweds again, you know, and get to go screw off doing whatever you want. And we're looking at it now to say, at this point, we're not going to get that part of our life. And then who takes the burden when we die?
Yeah.
Who do we put that on? Or do we just throw our kids as a ward of the state? That's a heavy
Load.
burden to carry because there's no talking yourself out of that.
Right.
Maybe at some point, you know, I become wildly successful and a multi-gazillionaire, and it will facilitate something easier to think about or conceive.
Right.
But maybe I don't. And what do you do with that?
Right.
I'm up for having Hunter with me the rest of my life. He'll be my best friend in the whole world, and we've got plans to travel the country and see every college football station, every college football stadium we want to, and baseball and NFL, and there's a lot of things that I've planned out so that he can have a great quality life that I want to do with him.
Right.
And I'm sure we'll have something, for Jeannie and Kirsten or whatever it is. But what about the me and Jeannie side?
Right.
You know? That's a tough one to think about.
Definitely is. There is no ultimate right answer. It's like what I said, it's coming together and saying, for today, what can we work on for today to give you hope, to give you that vision, to put things into perspective, that you don't feel as though your kids are a burden. Because that's the thing that I just keep hearing, the repeater in your dialogue. So how can we together as a community of people, just reach out and come to some kind of master plan of this, that, because I'm sure there's people out there that are listening, that you're listening to this episode and it's just like, wow, this is my life. And you feel like you're alone. And I'm here to tell you, you're not alone, because there's a lot of people that do sit where you're sitting.
Yeah.
And I think we revert within and we isolate ourselves, and all out of the protection of our family, that we don't put ourselves out there to get the help or just the support from other people out there that are going through what it is that you're going through. And I think it's a great opportunity for you listeners out there to come in and be a voice. Like, you and I started this. We're both not perfect.
Yeah.
We both are doing life too, along with you guys.
Right.
And we're just having the courage to come and have this platform to speak and to bring encouragement to other people out there. But we're not always on our game every day.
Well, just because you have a podcast doesn't mean life is perfect.
Right.
That's not why, that's not why I started this podcast.
Right.
It's to put myself out there. And it's hard to do that. It's actually easy. It's hard to hear the things that you have to say. I don't particularly feel to me personally that my kids are a burden. I feel like they are a burden on other people, and they don't deserve that because they're not. They're really, really not. My sister, she had some of the kids over, and Kirsten stayed home. She had everybody else over for a movie and dinner. And then the following weekend, she had the triplets go over, and she had Kirsten over. That was such a... That was a really big deal to me for her to have her over there.
Yeah.
Probably need to call and tell her that.
Yeah.
But that was a game changer, because she had her over for dinner and a movie too. It's good. Yeah, this autism thing is going to be a deep pit.
It is.
But I'm going to put it out there, It's a look behind the curtain. It's way back in the warehouse.
Way back there. And if I can just say, because I just have known you and Jeannie since you've had, the kids, this is a lot. I, totally acknowledge and appreciate you sharing what you have shared, because I know this is difficult for you. I know this isn't an easy subject. I know this isn't something that you and Jeannie talk about with anybody or everybody. There's just few people that I know that you share these things. Autism sucks. I know that's Jeannie's go-to phrase, and that usually means, okay, she's having it's a rough moment right now. It's a rough day. It's a rough week. It's a rough month, just depending on, the dynamics of what's going on in your guys' household.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that, is vulnerability. That is courage. That's bravery to the full extent of you putting it out there. And you as listeners, man, if you're in that boat too, we would love to hear from you, just to encourage you that you aren't alone, because I know you guys feel like you're just on this island and nobody wants to have anything to do with you. And you start really believing that, and that becomes your life.
Really, really, really does.
Yeah.
It really does. And I'm even sitting here in this chair right now, just worried that, I don't know why I'm worried about it, but worried that people are going to, I don't think it's feel sorry for me, but, just get the idea that I don't have a great freaking life, because I do,
Right.
I couldn't have handpicked better kids if I had the opportunity. And I love the noise and the busyness. There's sometimes where it's a lot, but it's a lot. We're a small country, and that's fine, but I love it. I could not have picked better children to have. I don't know why I worry about.
Yeah, because that is furthest from what I took from what it was that you were sharing, because there's never a doubt in my mind that you and Jeannie don't love your kids to the fullest. And personally, I've been around them so much, they're a stinking crack up. They're girls. There's Hunter, and they're girls. What more can I say? You have 7 of them, all in their teens. I mean, come on, people, really? So it's just, I think I'm just cut from a different breed, that I could appreciate them for who they are and what they are.
Yeah.
And
you're special people, Rita.
And just embrace that, because you're never going to have another time to be able to go through this with them any other time. They're not going to be teenager girls anymore.
Right.
This is just going to be a very small time in their life that you could just kind of sit back and just hopefully laugh at the craziness that's going on in your life right now. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it easy, and I'm not trying to make it sound like, come on, like, really, come on. But,
I'm not taking it that way at all.
it's just trying to see the silver lining in it, I guess. And
The truth is that there is a silver
there
lining
is.
in all of these circumstances, and there's a silver lining in all of those. Life is just so short.
Mm-hmm.
And why not make the most memories that you could make,
Right.
before you leave? There is a silver lining to be had. That doesn't mean you don't lose your mind
Right.
over your 18-year-old son whose trigger word is no.
Yes. Yeah.
And he goes all the way back to 5 years old to hammer you about telling him no, that you can't move to Idaho, and why and how.
True story, people.
It's like that is every day of my life. And it was so painful for me to see the look in his eyes when I told him. It's like, son, mommy and daddy, it's our responsibility to take care of you. It's what we want to do. We don't want to give you to anybody else to take care of you. Do you know why you can't move to Idaho? You told me no when I was 5. I said, son, you have a disability. You have autism. It's a disability. And your grandparents can't take care of you. And the look that came out of his eyes was horrible. It was horrible. Because he understood it for a moment.
Right.
It was terrible. It was terrible to tell, your almost 18-year-old son that you got a disability, man, and you need help. We're the people that want to help you. You spend a lot of time crapping on us for that, and I don't expect you to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I try my best to let it go in one ear and out the other, but there's times when he's younger and he wants to live with his grandparents and he goes, I don't want to be like you. I don't want your last name. And that's devastating.
Yeah.
But that's for another show.
Right.
And I'll get into it. So hopefully y'all remember the email address, because I can't. I'm just going to finish it. Thanks for listening. Q-Dog out.
The podcast. How good do you want your life to be?
You gotta live on purpose, for a purpose.
It's truly about becoming the best version of yourself that's possible. This is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast.